Me and Puffer said quite some time ago that on the off chance that anything at any point go down, don't tell no one my name in the opening. I said, yo, we sure did. He said, definitely. He said, huge, must kick the bucket. He said, yo, he said, enormous lock in people, as we jump further into one of Hip Bounce's most discussed secrets. Now numerous paranoid fears have twirled around 2Pac's homicide since that pivotal night in September 1996. And here comes Suge Knight, who in a progression of meetings directly from jail started to uncover all that he saw during the 90s and mid-2000s. And except me, it seems like no one will escape the axe. Currently plague rapper and entertainer 2Pac Shakur is dead at 25 years old, pretty much 7 days subsequent to supporting 4 slug wounds last Saturday night in Las Vegas. Howdy everybody, and welcome back to Celeb Live. Divert news in the hip bounce world has taken a stunning turn. Previous gangster Keith dropped a stunner when he claimed that music big shot Diddy offered him a cool million to coordinate hits on rap behemoths 2Pac Shakur and Suge Knight. While Kikidi says he didn't take the lure, the rap domain is reeling. One can't resist the urge to inquire as to how could Diddy do that. What's truly happening in the background seems like the unique pieces of this adventure are beginning to make sense. So my home slices south side, here my home slices that was at 662. Everyone had their firearms. We realized it would have been something for reasons unknown. Keith ID, the superb suspect in 2Pac's homicide case, chose to dole out much more succulent goodies about that unfortunate evening. And Diddy's alleged proposal, as per Keith, he was in, with no reservations for that fierce quarrel, with the gleam of that guaranteed $1 million plainly in sight. Yet unfortunately, that sack of cash was never given over to him. As Keith puts it, should be $1 million that Puff should bring back. Yet he wound up keeping the cash, purchasing a club with it. Never got any cash, you get nothing. The show doesn't end there. Keep his story extends with claims that D was very much aware of the Puff's arms lack in a genuine disclosure. Keefe reviews. I said I was about to get a bread from Puff to get us a few weapons, since they continued to strike our homes, taking our weapons. And there were witnesses that were paying attention to this entire discussion. Makes you wonder, right, was Diddy more caught in these group undertakings then? At that point, he'd like us to accept, yet this story has as of late been preceded, not in the least did Keefe himself add new subtleties in another meeting, yet Suge Knight himself opened up to the world and chose to tell new subtleties in one more meeting from jail. Evidently after Keith Deed's words that he could turn into one more casualty of Diddy, bouncing right once more into the hurricane of disclosures and allegations encompassing 2Pac's homicide. Dwayne keep his viewpoint on the September 13, 1996 occasion is surprising. As per him, the shooting binge started out of a basic misconception. Kiffe claims you expressed that as you're driving up towards the BMW, with Shook driving in 2Pac in the front seat. As per D, the shooting started when Kiffe saw 2Pac pulling out something from his pocket and confused it with a gun. Discuss misconstruing what is happening. Right? Did you really see a firearm? Gracious. Once you got the locale, I got the Duncan. So somebody from your vehicle, that is what I began taking shots at 2Pac. And Shook presently, get this, kitty, was in a similar vehicle, the white Cadillac, during the whole experience. While he's been hush about some other assistance, he dropped a stunner by recognizing the shooter as, in all honesty, his nephew Orlando Anderson. He hung over on the one we wrote on the window. Popped. We should add one more layer to this generally tangled tale. Reggie Wrightjar, one more player in the show, is turning the yarn further. He opens on Diddy's supposed association, saying from individuals around Pat during that time was that Pac was simply concerned on the grounds that us Stretch knew a portion of those different folks, and he was somewhat handing off data. Presently, there's a hypothesis making adjusts for certain allies, feeling Reggie is perched on a greater piece of data an ally truly guarantees. I feel like this person has significantly more data he's not telling us, and who could fail to remember Shug, right close to 2Pac, When the sluts rang out, yet his lips have stayed fixed about the character of the shooter, as Cat Williams said, "I'm almost certain Suge realizes who shot Suge. Assuming the police say no one shot him, I accept no one shot him. And in the event that no one shot him then, not the very no one that shot 2Pac's secretive right, when cornered about the gossipy tidbits about his insight, Shu was all grandiosity answering hello. By no means you ought to investigate. He sees you, he takes a gander at you, however, here's where the account takes. And charming turn Shug. As of now in the slammer has begun reconsidering things, maybe propelled by Cud's disclosures. Shug shows up less uneasy. In spite of the numerous dangers and reports of assaults against him in jail, Shug appears to be more able to let the cat out of the bag, particularly about Diddy. Currently Shug has been known to mix the pot. Harking back to the 90s, the contention between East Coast and West Coast rappers was warmed. It was additionally a verifiable truth that Diddy then, at that point, known as Puff Daddy, was one of the unmistakable figures addressing the East Coast, though 2Pac under the mark Death Row Records, helped to establish by Shug addressed the West 2Pac's passing in 96, followed by the homicide of East Coast rapper Big Deal Smalls, otherwise called Famous Enormous. A half year after the fact strengthened this competition, Shook recommended, in a meeting, that Diddy remained to acquire from this fight, both monetarily and as far as road validity. After the lamentable occasions, Terrible Kid Records drove by Diddy Blade in the music graphs. In the result of 2Pac's passing records, like I'll Be Missing You by Diddy Confidence Evans, and 112 trait to Big Deal topped the board diagrams for a really long time, prompting critical income age. Diddy's ritzy music recordings and platinum records should have been visible as a demonstration of his monetary progress. Directly following the misfortunes, I'm a savage gracious, I'm a savage anything I desire to play today. Anything I desire, I need to get additionally, with the end of his opponent, 2Pac, did he set his situation in the East Coast rap scene, improving his road believability. His name Terrible Kid Records ruled the music business, marking more specialists, and delivering various fruitful collections. Shook blames Diddy for profiting by the vacuum left by 2Pac, solidifying his place at the highest point of the hip jump order. The magnate, once a conspicuous player during the 90s East-West contention, proceeded to construct an assorted business realm, traversing music creation, apparel, and spirits, transforming misfortune into a way cleared with gold. We don't discuss things that are hogwash. We don't for even a moment engage babble, my sibling. And that is not all. Not long after the end of 2Pac, Awful Kid Records presented a new rush of ability that overwhelmed the hip bounce world. May a Craftsman, under the care of Diddy, delivered his presentation collection Harlem World in 1997. It appeared at #1 on the Bulletin 200 graphs, selling more than 270,000 duplicates in its most memorable week. With 2Pac presently not in the scene, Mace immediately became one of the most conspicuous countenances of hip bounce, further setting Terrible Kid's grasp on the business. Shug frequently featured this fast climb of craftsmen under Diddy's name as advantageous timing, hinting that the expulsion of significant rivalry like 2Pac prepared for these new specialists. My life is some of the time you need to truly go with that choice in your stomach. The effect.